Hello all, welcome to R&D Labs with me Rohant, and today we'll see how to add a SQLite database into your Swift project. So how do we do it? Let's get started. To begin with, let us first import the SQLite 3 module into the app delegate.swift. So here is where I'm going to create my database, plus I'm going to create the tables within the database. So uh, to create the database, first of all, we would need where to store the database, a location for the database within your iOS device. All right, so we will add a variable to create, skip it here. Uh, let's name it as var db url is equal to ns search path for directories and domains, and let's give it a document directory as a path, and we'll give a user domain dot user domain mask. I'll get to that in a moment, and we'll give this as true. Now this is a string array, so let's return the first variable of type string. So what have we done here is, if you specify the document directory as a location, this will reside, the database would reside within your iOS application directory within the iOS device. Okay, and the user domain mask is user's home directory. Okay, so and you're just specifying the location and storing this variable, the location into the variable, which is db_url. All right. Usually, Apple also recommends the developers to store the data belonging to their iOS app within their iOS apps folder. Okay, so by default, it goes and stores within the Files app, okay, in your iOS device. So let's say location variable to store the location of the SQLite database. Okay, next we are going to create a database. So let's create a function. So let's say function create database, create and connect the database. I'll just name it this way: create and connect our open database. I'll say an open database, which is of type opaque pointer. Sorry. So opaque pointers are Swift type for C pointers. Okay, and let's open up the function. So let's say var db as opaque pointer, and let's return the db to get rid of this error message. Okay, and say let, create a constant, let url is equal to ns url. Okay, so we are converting the path to the url here. So let's say file url with path, and we'll specify the path, which is db_url. Okay, and this sets up the URL to the database. All right, now we will try to set the file path to this. So let's say let file path is equal to path component. No, sorry. All right. Now let us specify the database name. Now the next step is, let's write if let path component is equal to url dot pending path component. Yes, this is the one. And let's specify the name of the database. Let's keep it as test.sqlite. This is a name of the database. I will comment that later on. Name your database here. Okay, and let's say file path is equal to path component dot path. Okay, so we got a path here, after which we will have to open the SQLite database. SQLite 3, yes, this is the one. File name is file path. Okay, and the pointer to the database is the object pointer that we had created over here, which is db. So db, yeah, and we've given ampersand to it is equal to SQLite. Okay, so this is a status code that the SQLite returns if it is passed all validations. Okay, let's keep it. Let's say that the SQLite database is open without any errors and it returns okay. Good. Okay, and to this we will say print successfully opened the database. Okay, and if you want to specify the file path as well, then you can say at let's say what is the file path? The file path is this variable, and that's it. This is how you open the database and say return db to this. Else, if it doesn't work, if there is a different error code, then SQLite okay, then say print let's say file path, let's say let's say could not open the database. Okay, and here we will say if the path is available or not. Okay, suppose if there would be a reason for the file path not to be available, so let's also give it an else statement just to be safe. Say, let's say file path is not available. Okay, and you can handle the error messages as you wish to. All right, so it looks okay to me. Okay, next is now we have created a database. Now let's say we need to create tables within that database to store the values. Okay, now let's say function create tables, and we'll give that type as boolean. Okay, and now in order to know whether the function has been executed successfully or not, uh, I will be creating a variable to store this value. So let's say variable b retval, uh, which is of type boolean. I'll give it a default value as false for now. Uh, I'm going to use a convenience method which is called SQLite 3 execute exec. So what this does is it actually combines multiple SQL queries into single block so that you don't have to write multiple statements to execute it. So let's say let create table is equal to SQLite 3 underscore exec. Let's see where it is. Here it is. So gives us so many parameters. Okay. Now we forgot to add one thing here, uh, which is the opaque pointer or the pointer to the database. Okay. So in order to do that, we will have to create a variable. Okay, which is of type opaque pointer here. So let's say var dbq is equal to opaque pointer. Okay, and we haven't called create an open database which will return the pointer to the database. So let's do this in the application did finish launching with options. Okay, and we will just call the function. So let's say dbq, sorry, dbq is equal to um, create an open, yeah, this one, create an open database. Okay, so this will create an open database plus set the pointer. Okay, and that's it. We'll leave this for now. We'll get back to this later on. And what will happen is we will have to provide the variable here, say dbq. Yes, so dbq, this is the query that you're going to write here. So let's say create table. Okay, so here we are going to write a SQL query which will create a table. So create table if not exist. Okay, and we will give the name of the table as temp, and my intention is to have two columns. Okay, just for this example, and of types text. Okay, so let's say column temp column 1 text, and I'll keep it as null, and text so temp column 2 and text and null as well. So I have added two columns here, and I will specify null to this. Sorry, nil and nil. So I actually prefer the SQLite 3 underscore execute method. Okay, so that I can club most of the SQL queries within it. So this is a good option to do. And let's say if create table is not equal to. So now what we are going to do is whether we are going to parse the statement. Okay, so let's say SQLite underscore okay, and let's say not authorized, or let's say unable to create or something like that. We will add it over here. So print not able to create table. Okay, so let's say not able to create table, and which will return say b retval is equal to false, and else else is b retval is equal to row. Okay, and we will return the to this. Okay, now in the earlier stage we have added create an open database to application did finish launching with options function, after which we will have to also add the create table as well. Okay, so let's do that. So let's say if, since it is a boolean function, let's say if create tables uh, is equal to is equal to false. Okay, then print error in creating tables. Okay, else yay print yay created tables created. Let's move on to the view controller. Now in order to do this, we will have to have some controls within the view controller. So let's add two text fields for each of the columns within the table. So let's say you add text field 1, let's add the other one as well, and we'll add a button to action it. So let's put a button here plus. Now what I intend to do here is I will be adding the data into the SQLite database like an insert. Okay, and then I will be writing a select query to pull the inserted data and show it in a text view. Okay, so I can add a text view here, and let's maximize this, get rid of the default data, and open up my assistant editor. Now before we begin writing a code, let's import the SQLite 3 module. Okay, after which we will be adding the outlets. Let's say text field 1 and text field 2. Okay, and we have a button here, so we will write a action to it. Let's say add data. Okay, we have to also add the outlets for the text view as well. So text view 1. I think we are okay. Now we will have to write an insert query as well as a select query to fetch the information and show that onto the text view. Let's begin by creating a variable. So let's say let insert statement string is equal to insert into temp, that's our table, and we have two columns. Let's check the column names. So we have temp column 1, let's copy that to this. Let's say temp column 1 comma temp column 2, and just close the brackets, and values we have to add two parameters. So in SQLite we have to add a placeholder for the values that we are going to insert or update into the SQLite database. So we'll just add a question mark. So question mark denotes the parameter placeholder or in SQLite database. So let's say okay, and we will end the SQL statement. Next, we will add another variable of type opaque pointer, say statement, insert statement query, and give it opaque pointer. Okay, so as we did earlier, let's specify the opaque pointer. Now we need to write the SQLite prepare v2 statement. Okay, so let's say if SQLite 3 underscore prepare v2, as I said earlier, it will compile the SQL statement and return the status code. Okay, so it's dbq, and that's the database pointer, and we will specify the insert statement string that we had declared earlier. We will specify -1 to this, and we will specify the pointer to the SQL statement. So let's say insert statement query, and we'll specify nil. Okay, and we will check if it is okay or not. So SQLite underscore okay. All right, so what we have done here is we are just compiling the SQL query using SQLite 3 prepare v2 and checking if the status is okay or not. So let's bind the values from the text fields into the SQL query, and in order to do that, we have a method inside SQLite 3 itself which says SQLite 3 bind text. There are numerous methods already available for this purpose. You can add integer, you can add a blob to add the images, you can add double, okay, you can add text, you can add integer. So for this tutorial, since I'm just going to add plain text, I'm just going to use SQLite 3 bind text, and with that I'll be adding the insert statement query into it. I'll be specifying the placeholder value SQL query, which is 1. That means I'm specifying 1, which denotes this, which will save the value into temp column 1 from text field 1. Okay, so this is how the entire chain of thing would be. So I'll say next is we need to add the text field 1 value, and I'll give it an optional value as well. Next is -1, and here mostly what I've seen people doing is they write nil out here. In my opinion, this is wrong. I do not recommend adding nil to the last parameter because when you use bind text, and you need to use a transient destructor. Okay, so when you pass a Swift string to a C function as a constant character argument, Swift does not guarantee that the pointer will remain valid after the C function returns. So after SQLite 3 returns it, there are inconsistencies. So in my previous occasions, what I had encountered is the value was not getting inserted into the SQLite database from the control. Okay, sometimes it used to insert, sometimes it used to miss the insert. So I usually don't use this. So in order to do this, what we would do is we will have to declare a variable. So let's say let SQLite transient. You can give any name you want. Just for the sake of this tutorial, I am setting this name. So is equal to unsaved bitcast. Okay, specify -1, 2, SQLite 3 destructor type and give it self. That's it. So once you do this, just add the variable to the last parameter. So now what we have done here is we have bound one text box to the query, and now let's bind the other one as well, and we will change the placeholder value as well. So that's it. We have bound the text. Now let's execute it. Say if SQLite 3 underscore step, and we will say insert statement query, and that's it. And we will say, we will check what is the return value to it. Let's see, in my case it will be SQLite underscore done. Okay, and after which you're free to do whatever you want to with the text field. In my case, I will just clear the text field and keep it ready for the next use. So text field 2 dot text is equal to empty. Just clear off the values within the text field and set the text field 1 to accept the input. Okay, so yeah, some kind of a housekeeping done here, and we will say print success fully. Okay, I'll just say successfully inserted the record. Okay, else error, else, sorry, print error. Okay, so we have done this. Now the important point here is we need to specify the finalize statement. You should always call the SQLite 3 finalize on your compile statement to delete it and avoid any resource leaks. Okay, so we would say SQLite 3 underscore finalize and give the pointer name, so we just insert query. So here we have set up the finalization statement. Now you have saved the information. Now let's retrieve that as well. Okay, now let's declare a variable. We have inserted it, so let's declare a variable on a similar name. Say select statement string. Yeah. Okay, and let's say select temp column 1 temp column 2 from temp. Okay, and we will specify the opaque pointer as well to it. So let's say select select statement query and specify the type of opaque pointer to it. Need that bit of space. Okay, now let's compile and see SQLite 3.prepare v2. Okay, and specify the opaque pointer, select statement query, and here here we need to specify the pointer to the database, which is dbq, and specify the query here, which is select statement query, set means string, which was again -1, and we specify the pointer to the select statement, which is select statement query, and specify nil. Okay, and let's give it a check, which is SQLite underscore okay. So this will essentially compile the query and return the value. Okay. Oh, we missed the ampersand. All right. Now, let's say while, okay, SQLite 3 underscore step, which is the big pointer to it, select statement query is equal to a row, which actually checks if we have returned any value or not. SQLite underscore row. Yes. Specify the code here. Okay. So in order to so the idea here is I'll be trying to concatenate the values that we have and show it on the text view. So let's declare a variable for this, say sShowData. Okay, and we will give it a type string, and we will set the value as empty so that we don't run into issues later on when we execute it. And we will say sShowData plus is equal to, because we are going to concatenate it, let's say string, convert it to string, and we have SQLite, there's a column, SQLite 3 underscore column text. Here it is. So since we have a column of type text, we will specify SQLite 3 underscore column text, and we will specify the pointer to it, which is select statement query, yes, and we will specify the index, which is 0. Okay, here the index was 1, but here the index is 0, so that's how it is. So just bear that in mind. And I would like to add a tab to it so that I differentiate between temp column 1 and temp column 2. So I'll specify a tab and again a tab, and then I will add the second column. So I just copy paste this so that we saved some time and we'll specify column number 1. And at the end of it, we will add a new line so that recursively the information gets added onto the text field. After all this, we will specify the finalization statement. Don't forget this. SQLite 3 underscore finalize, specify the opaque pointer variable, which is select statement query, and you are done. And after which we will specify, we will set the value from sShowData into the text field. So sShowData, and if there's anything, if there's no data, we'll just specify empty. So I think we are okay. We are okay to this, and let's see how does this go. Change the simulator. Okay, so it is shown here. So let's add the value into two text fields. So text 1 and text 2, and that's it. We have added the data. So say text 3 and text 4. This is how you do it, and let's put the log. It's all fine. So there's no error as such.
So this is how you actually add a SQLite database to your Swift project. I hope you like this video, and the video was a bit lengthy. I wanted to explain everything that I could, and please like and subscribe the channel. See you until next time. Cheers.